Hello, welcome to Loki. There he is waving hello to us. And that other Loki is using a Lex for no apparent reason. I'm not sure what's going on with the arm pieces there. That's not part of my Sandana, I don't think. Anyways, enough about that. On to the build. So, Loki was not technically next in the order, but he's been getting a lot of talk lately, so I figured I'd pick him up. Our build over here. We'll start off here.
Ready for action.
All right. Uh, now we're not going to pretend Loki is the best thing since sliced bread. There are quite a number of people who do stuff that he does better. Uh, his crowd control, his decoy thing, Titania's lantern blows that out of the water completely. There's other examples as well, but he's far from unusable. We got some corrosive protection on here. You can actually see we've helmeted a Theros strike. Essentially, that's his biggest struggle is armor. Armor not really having a damage buff other than stealth. Range, we're offsetting a negative range more than anything. You do want some range. It controls the attraction radius of decoys. And to some extent the ability to switch teleport, but you don't really care. I could probably drop that, but Vigor, that's just some underlying survivability. You do want to be able to take little chip damage. Continuity, lots of duration, you'll see. Prime flow, he needs to keep his energy up, we'll say that. We are running Zeneric because he can run out of energy. And you don't want to run out of energy, you'll see that very shortly. Damage decoy, this is the new hot shit. You can cast this on some very interesting things, we'll say, and I'm not going to get too much into that because some of it's bugs and some of it's obviously unintended is going to get nerfed. The funniest one is Demolist. You can cast it on them and they'll just follow you around. Don't expect that to last, but if you want to do it for the giggles while it's up, yeah, just go into a disruption, cast on Demolist. Shut up, Orders. I'm trying to talk here. Safeguard switch. This is a funny one that many people overlook. There are some cautions to it. If you switch with an ally, they become invulnerable and not you. Your teammates will also get potentially slightly upset with you, but so you do have to switch with an enemy. You'll see it in the mission, more detail. We'll get into that. Arcane Arachne. Remember I mentioned he needs damage boost? This is just a very solid one. I believe Arcane Arachne is... I never remember if it's additive or multiplicative, but it's a good one. Molt efficiency, that's more duration. You're going to be spending a lot of time either not being shot at or invulnerable with this, so more duration for shields being active. Your shields are always going to be active. All right, we're using Comb Rex for Mimi wall latch sniping mostly. I would use the Sporothrix, but that's a made-up gun that doesn't actually exist, and only your one friend who says that their friend that works at D told them it actually drops, actually believes it exists, and they're lying. Later, you'll notice in a lot of my build videos, I keep one weapon that is just a stupid, overpowered problem solver. On Frost, it was the Kuva Hack. That's what this is here. The only maybe unique thing is it's a conjunction voltage, which balances off our Telos Boltes, which is electric and runs melee influence, because that will build up the conjunction voltage, and if I really need to delete something with the Latum, it's already powered up. Essentially. Nothing too special on here. I actually need to get rid of the maiming strike because it doesn't work, and I forgot it was still on there and come up with something else. Things you should do before your video for 200. There's probably something I could do there. Feel free to leave a comment and tell me what I should put in that slot. One thought is healing return, but Sentinel's just your bargain basement Dirija, which was actually turned off because I was doing Captura. Is this the right one? Sure. I've got two Dirijas somehow. Let's get into a mission so we can actually show off some utility here. We'll hop into our old conjunction survival, buddy. Guess you could use Death Cube instead of Dirija. They'll pump out energy semi-reliably.
Your enemies have grown.
Your Sentinel's a little weird attacking because it won't attack while you're invisible, I believe, but it will use abilities. So we can safeguard switch immediately there. We're invulnerable. That gathering effect you just saw is from the Telos Boltace. You can see Stormpath up at the top right. As long as you wait for that tornado icon to disappear, it will always do that gathering attack when you do a slide attack. If you use another slide attack while that's up there, then it will. It does an exploding lift attack instead, basically, and then puts the whole system on cooldown. It's not too much of a cooldown though, and it does automatically refresh for the next one. So you see it's doing a lot of gathering. That's not Loki, that's the Boltace. Does really help for our melee finishers, and it's also very helpful if you're using damage decoy, because it puts them all next to the damage decoy. Pop some Incinerate, because I just spent a bunch of random energy explaining that. We took off the Irradiating Disarm. We took off Disarm for the Theros Strike to get rid of armor. The Disarm only works on enemies with ranged weapons to start with, so that already eliminates two whole factions, essentially, the Murmur and the Infested. And it doesn't work on all of them, even. I think Culverins, particularly, I noticed, weren't getting disarmed by it. Or didn't seem to be. So we took that off. The biggest thing with the disarm is it forces enemies to walk up to the decoy. Since they gave the decoy some health, it works reasonably well at range. We do have a very low range on this build though, so do be mindful. You can't put this like over there and expect it to stop enemies here. Let's get our show on the road.
The Orokin Neural Sentry is attempting to purge you from this place.
I'm not going to
Stand
use
by
the
for
main
life
sniper,
support.
so I'll just put my light ready. That guy's already dead from my sentinel. Yeah, let me find a good example. You can't safeguard switch with the corpse too, so as long as there's something to aim, it doesn't have to be alive. It can have overguard. You can just keep putting your invulnerability back on and back on. I have dispatch overdrive, so I can get stupid hardcore speed just by heavy attacking on an enemy. That's not part of Loki, that's again part of the, yeah. Now if we turn on the invisibility, we'll actually see our damage goes up substantially, because we suddenly have the stealth modifier. Arcane Arachne, you just have to hit a wall latch every 30 seconds.
Circulus's proximity. If you have a necromech, you may use it.
Let's see, we don't have too much trouble with much of anything here. There are some Xmas and heavy gunners that we might need the Theros Strike for, because I did a test run of this to make sure I wouldn't look like an idiot when I recorded it, and that came up. The Thrax, again, not a super good solution for them. But the Theros Strikes will help. Whatever I decide to put in that slot I took off on my melee will also probably help. Probably just put attack speed. Get stupid with it. Want to see damage decoy. That's damage decoy. It's not super effective at actual damage. It's mostly condition overload primer thing. I don't know if you put power strength if it gets maybe decent damage, but I know from Elemental Sandstorm that stuff tends not to work. If you remember the Inaris video. There's a whole pile of gimmicky nonsense required to make that work. And that's when you can pick the status. Loki, unlike Oneros, cannot force the toxin and slash. With his augmenty thing, so he is 100% stuck. I'll bring these guys over here, cut through them. Their voltace. Just remember to keep teleporting. The Arachne stuff is kind of tile set dependent. You'll have a hell of a time doing it on the plains of Eidolon, for instance. Here's an armored man. It's just gonna get. That wasn't even a full strip. That was just our Theros strike. There I switched to my decoy, which is why I didn't get invulnerability, but I made the decoy invulnerable, which is hard to see without. Which is a neat trick. Tellus Voltace uses the very powerful Tonfa stance, so if you do this one, I think it is, it's blocking forward. Just stupid bullshit.
Are scanning for targets.
Dude, I didn't get sentience last time in the test somehow.
Look out for troopers.
It's not gonna super matter, but too much stuff going on here. Sentience here. There's our acolytes. Can generally switch with the acolytes, I've found. There is at least one of them that you cannot.
The longer you hold out, the deeper I can search. But if you need to leave, extraction is ready. Tenno, the void has summoned a new presence and it craves our life support. Destroy these manifestations.
I kill the acolyte for you guys here. I'm not too bad worried about the tracks. There we go, that's all the tracks. So yeah, there are frames that could have done that quicker. Still are well over 50% of our life support. We could easily pick up some pods there. There's one thing I do wish they would add to switch teleport is a little bit of a lock on, because I'm gonna do the movement tick trick here. That's a decoy and trying to lock on them to pull yourself forwards super fast. You have to be really precise with that though. I am on a controller, it's probably easier with a mouse, but carpal tunnel's a bitch. I could plug my mouse and keyboard into my PlayStation. That does 100% work in the year of our Lord 2024, for anyone wondering. And we're out.
And so we learn the importance of
So, yeah,
clarity.
simple, breezy. Decoy taunt is a taunt. Taunts are AI based. Works on overguard things. It's a very active play style. You have to stay on top of what you're doing, but it works. There are things I would do with Loki. I would actually put invisibility and decoy together, so when he casts a decoy, he turns invisible or refreshes his invisibility. That's would be a pretty solid change. That frees up an ability slot. The silliest Loki rework idea what I had was, which was originally part of an intro I was going to do, was he's a shapeshifter, historically, mythologically. Have him be a shapeshifter. Let him target his allies or target enemies and just copy one of their powers. Like he could just access all the helmet abilities by targeting a teammate. He could take their helmet ability or their railjack ability or whatever. That wouldn't necessarily be overpowered depending on the teammates, but it'd be kind of cool. He just turns into the teammate like the Mocking Whisper does and copies their powers. And you could give him like a handful for the enemies. You don't need one for every single enemy. Like he turns into a Grineer and shoots a grenade or so on. But yeah, Loki is much maligned. It's not really fair to him that he is that aligned. Disarm does need some work. The best way to use Disarm is to take guns off so enemies walk up to the decoy as a passive gathering tool. Irradiating Disarm, which is the augment, does the opposite of that and makes them shoot each other and stay away, or punch each other and stay away, so it kind of mishmashes and doesn't work well with itself. And the whole thing is power crept by Titania. Lantern turns an enemy into an invulnerable decoy that causes all the enemies to walk at it and not shoot you. And does damage. That's the biggest problem there. Invisibility is what it is. He's got the most reliable one in the game. Octavia has to spam button presses, for instance, and Wisp has to do this through the entire damn level. Switch teleport, the basic version is kind of crap, but the augment is quite solid for it. You can get the longest duration on demand and vulnerability that isn't revenant, and you can just kind of drop it around anytime. Anyways, that's Loki. If you've enjoyed, do the whole subscribe, like, follow stuff. Next target has been by popular demand, by which I mean sort of haphazardly pulling region because I do only have kind of limited comments. Should be Nyx. It's either going to be Nyx or Ember. And we will see you then.